Then it moved to a little opening. Then it moved on to the concrete area over here where the rocks, with the rocks. And then they moved over here. And this seems to have worked for them. Yeah, do you have sandals on?
So it's nice setting. Nice.
Yeah, nice setting. They come up, have tea.
They're already finding me.
Yeah, it's just me on the terrace.
But they really are really good at it.
So they only flew once?
They flew once last year, and they flew once this year. After like the fourth big rain. Now, and I do them in dirt. I don't do them in a plastic tube with cotton and all that, because I wanted them to be on plaster, which is what they're going to be raised on. And I wanted them to be in a very small amount of dirt so that the transition from 100% hydrostone to the dirt would be minimal when they came over. The other thing is that when you start ants like this, I might start 50 and only 10 make it to where all the brood have been raised. And there's all kinds of reasons. I've dissected some. You'll find out that no spermatophores, they weren't pregnant, so they've been laying infertile eggs. And they make little itty bitty bunches of infertile eggs, then they eat them. And after a while, they just run out of energy and they poop off. Other ones will raise brood, and you'll put them into an exhibit situation, and you'll see that next, and they don't prosper. They don't die, but they don't prosper. They sit around, they have a few babies. After a year, you got 12 ants with the queen, and they're sort of lethargic. So I take those colonies, I let them go back to their habitat. I haven't got the gene set that I wanted for an exhibit. Then I get a queen. This one's doing very well. She's raised, this is one queen. She'll raise anywhere between 17 and 20 larvae for this species. This is Mendez. Each species does different numbers. So if you get pogo like you've got, 7 is the average number of workers that she'll raise. Right? So the other thing that you have to be right on top of, there can be no loss of focus. That queen, when those workers start to hatch, has used up every drop. She's given her all. All the energy that she had in her wing muscles, et cetera, have been depleted to get those workers. And if you just keep them around, I'm going to go on a trip, I'll be back in 5 days, she'll come back, she'll probably be dead. Because those workers just start asking her for food, and she gives. She gives until she collapses like a car with no gas. Boom, she's done. And there's no bringing her back. So the minute I see little workers coming out, I start giving them a little bit of sugar. I kill a small, like a pinhead cricket, dump in a little bit of sugar water so they're just a little sweet. I'll put them in here, let them start, and then I move them into a nest. The next zone for honeypot ants would be a nest like this. And so this is a little vertical honeypot ant nest. And the reason that I do vertical is that they'll make repletes, and repletes don't walk around very well. All right, so they'll make repletes, and you want to get them hanging as soon as possible. And I want to give them an opportunity to do that because a lot of times what folks do is they keep the ants in a regular jar, and the queen becomes the replete. So now you're asking her to do double, triple duty. So this way, out of the second set of workers that are coming out, she can immediately start to lay eggs. I mean, she can immediately start to create repletes, or they will. She's not doing anything after that. She's just laying eggs and getting fed. I did a movie called Empire of the Desert Ants. It took 4 years with the BBC, and being British, they're so queen-centric that it was hysterical. I mean, they sent me the script, and I read through, and I said, no, it's not a queen, it's the larva, blah, blah, blah. We went back and forth. The movie came out. It's all about the queen and how she sends them out to do this, and the queen's empire. And I said, well, but look, they got a queen, so that's what they know. So this is when they get going. Once they move up and they fill this up really well, then they'll go to a bigger colony. So this is a bigger nest. This one actually, year, raised reproductions.
Those are huge.
So you can see we're going to eat a couple of these. So you can see the repletes. There's a queen. And a colony like this. Now these were all done for a movie, so you'd have to have several lights, but they're lit. It's to be lit for interesting an interesting flow through the experience. I didn't want a movie where everything looks like it, floodlighted on top of your head. I wanted it to have some drama. So you look through it. So I planned every shot to do that. And then these can get bigger, and then there'll be another chamber, another chamber. I've dug up probably 60 or 70 nests over the years. And when you get that, even the one that we did, remember how big those chambers were? The chambers are this big, they're that high. Everybody thinks it's going to be a little hole in the ground. There could be hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of repletes. We got a quart of honey out of one. So there's quite a lot of activity that goes on.
What material is this?
Hydrostone.
Hydrostone.
Okay. So
And another question.
now these guys. So these guys, and we're going to clean them. I'll show you the whole process. These guys over here, primarily, they're not a different cast.
Oh, they just happen to be chosen to have big butts.
Once you become a replete, you're done. You're a replete or you're a deplete, but you're never you're never a worker. Right? You get big, you get little. It's like being pregnant, but on a different level.
Go right ahead.
So the other type of ants, so if I'm doing an exhibit, there are other kinds of ants, let's say the harvester ants, which we were just looking at. They're notorious for feces all over the glass. They'll just defecate on it, walk up, defecate some more. I mean, they're just really good at covering it. And the problem with them is that when you clean them, if you gas them, as an example, as the workers will ball around the queen. And just as they pass out, they extrude their stingers with CO2. So maybe it's 1 in 100, but you've got a lot of effort and time into this thing, and they'll kill the queen by accident. So for them, I design exhibits that you look at from the top. So here's one that's a starter.
So these are for pushing them?
Now this is all pogo. And the queen is right there. And then once they get bigger, when the colonies grow, then you get them about that size. And when they get bigger, I add another one. And by the time they're 2 or 3 Petri dishes in size, they're ready to go on exhibit. Cocoon, right. They have a naked cocoon. So if you look, I want to see if there's one being made. Because quite often you can see one.
So those are all.
Hmm?
Oh, those are all larvae.
Yeah, those are larvae. These are eggs. See the big pile of eggs?
Yeah.
And then you got the larvae, and back there there's some
eggs?
pupa. No, those are pupa back there. And so what these guys will do is they keep the eggs away from the pupa. It's nice when you have a big because of constraints. So it looks like that. See how it's just very smooth? If you don't, then you just go up, and that works very well also.
Do you use a hair dryer, Ray?
Oh yeah, hair dryer, industrial hair dryer.
Yeah, because we get the most beautiful, perfect fluon with the hair dryer.
Yeah, and that pushes it around.
10 seconds and then.
Right. And you notice I don't do it to the bottom because I want to be watching the ants. And an inch of fluon, 2 inches of fluon is more than enough to keep this type of ant down. The other thing is, remember always that fluon fails at over 80% humidity. So if you've got over 80% humidity, the ants will be able to start crawling it up. In Arizona, usually not a big problem. So what we're going to do now, we're going to do 2 things. I'm going to take the glass off. The ants are going to run out like lunatics. Then you can take a bunch of pictures. I'm going to go clean the glass.
Okay.
Before I put the glass back on again, we're going to pick some ants for eating. Okay? it's not like getting hit. Even here, we have hognose skunks, and the hognose skunks I find feeding on Mendez all the time. And they dig down about 18 inches to a foot and a half, which is where the Mendez first set of chambers generally is, and then they don't go any deeper. But if you travel along and you see sort of a pit, and on the bottom of the pit there's a perfect opening and there's Mendez coming out, yeah, that's how they got there. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I will do this, and I'm going to let these girls go.
Freedom!
Run away, run away.
Freedom! Where am I gonna go now? Yes, exactly.
Something like this, you change your glass out, all that kind of good stuff, and returning them becomes really very simple, and you lose very few ants doing it this way. Very, oh yeah, I find the more high tech the better.
Absolutely.
Keep it simple, you know who,
Yes.
is my motto.
That's the best way for me.
Yeah. Come on, you silly thing. You're not in Chihuahua.
Yeah, they peter out
I
when
wonder
you
if
get
it's
to more tropical.
So they're not what we have in most toothless.
Probably not a lot of ceaseless. This is not a rainforest species though.
No, it isn't. This is an arid land species. But they're a little better in some ways than Texana for exhibits, because they're more likely to keep a fungus garden growing all year. Where Texana, they don't reduce it to hyphae, but they take their fungus gardens and they just become almost inactive during the winter.
Actually, that might be her right there.
Why do you start a naked book?
You and the book.
Well, why do you have like just
I just got the kiss and ignore it.
Oh.
kiss it? Yeah, it poop. There you go.
You got me too. I just want my hand actually.
This is an Aphnicaster.
That's a seriously pooping critter.
That's the queen right in there.
Cool.
Slightly larger Aphnicaster. Into that species right there. Another colony that he has. So he showed us another Aphnigaster, which was either Cockerielii or something called Albicetosa, depending on which way their spines are pointed. I believe Cockerielii have curved spines, whereas Albicetosa has different. They sort of they're more erect and outward pointed. Yeah. So basically, his house was amazing to walk around in. I didn't get a chance to record everything that he was saying, because it's he has like this room in the back is just filled with ant colonies and other things that he dabbles in. couple of which were other colonies of, he had Mexicanus, which was basically the orange species of honeypot ants that were out there, and another Mendax in various stages. Some he had, had for a couple of years, others, were just starting up this year. Lots of cool things there. I did get to eat a honeypot ant, and there's a couple things to note here. One is they all have a poison gland, and they all spray formic acid, or they're capable of. I mean, a reptile's not going to be able to aim it at your eyes unless you're, looking at it. But anyway, what you want to do is prepare yourself for a taste of volatile chemicals, because once you rupture the membrane for the gaster, basically, it all like kind of it gets exposed. So the method I used was popping it in my hand and then giving it like 5 seconds to disperse, and then after that you can just taste it. And the one I ate, it tasted like apples, which was fun. Um, they tasted that way because that's what that's what he was feeding the ants basically. In nature, the colony will actually sort different proteins and such into different repletes. So you might have one that just tastes of caterpillars, other tastes, flavors you can't really quite place, others that'll, they're filled more with like a fat body almost from the various insects that they're going around getting. So we need to figure out which color is the honey-filled one, and then stick with just that one, because some of them will be, clouded and taste absolutely rancid, I'm told. We didn't bother with, too much of that. Also, digging up a colony of these, they go, like, it's like, you have to dig like 3 feet into the ground to reach the first chamber. So it's not, it's like an all-day thing, especially in a desert where you might hit solid rock at any moment. It's not something we even considered doing out in the desert areas. Um, so another thing we were shown was applying fluon, which it's a tad expensive, but I mean it's definitely worth the investment for anyone who would like to just not have to worry as much about ants escaping. Basically, you pour out a little bit from the bottle, and you want to basically take a let's see, what is that called? Yeah, like I know Ray, he used a feather brush, but you can use really can use whatever. You just don't want to use something that's going to leave streaks, because once it hardens, like it does, like it turns into like a solid layer, and it is going to be a yeah. It's like you want to just apply it in a way that's not going to create ladders, because if you do that, the ants will just be able to climb right up there. You want to, of course, watch for the corners. Using a container that has rounded corners also works, good. I see some people on the internet are actually mixing it with water first, a certain amount of water to make it basically stay clear. I suppose you can do that, but I don't know how that's going to affect. Like you're basically applying less fluon than what is recommended, and depending on the species, you may have to apply several inches of fluon. Yeah, so once you apply the fluon, you want to turn the container upside down, let it drip out, but you want to let it drip out evenly, because if it's dripping in a solid way, like you're actually letting the drops fall, it's not like smoothing itself out, it's creating more ladders. So you want to take like a hair dryer and just blow straight up in the middle of the container so that it pushes like the air down evenly, and after that you just kind of let it rest. If you get it on your clothing, it's perfectly fine. It washes right out. If you get it on your skin, though, it's kind of a. It seemed like it hardened instantly into a white substance, and it kind of took some chiseling to get it off. I'm told it's otherwise non-toxic unless you ingest it somehow. I believe I wouldn't go around eating it myself, but I know it's even more toxic if it's in a vaporous form. So if it's like steaming or being burned off. I actually work in a factory where I deal with Teflon, and that's what fluon is. It's liquid Teflon, basically. And I have to worry about breathing in toxic chemicals because it will create flu-like symptoms, and it's not good. Your face turns blue, and it's not something you want to do. So anyway, that was my trip with Ray. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.